Gusto mo bang matuto ng agribusiness, crops, livestock and poultry, aquaculture, at ma-inspire sa mga success stories? Agribusiness, how it works.
Our next session explores the dynamic world of aquaculture. Moderated by veteran journalist and broadcaster, Miss Melanie Zambrano. This panel features industry leaders who are making waves in the sector. Let's welcome them with a warm round of applause.
Hello, everyone. This is my first time here with Agribusiness, and I'm really learning a lot. Are you learning too? Natututo po ba tayo? Marami tayong takeaways this afternoon. And I am sure and I promise that with this exciting panel that I have here on stage, you will learn a lot more. So let's all learn together as we welcome this exciting panel on aquaculture in agribusiness, as we explore how this blue economy is actually reshaping food systems, livelihood, and sustainable agriculture. And I think at this moment, we will dive deep into the innovations, challenges, and opportunities that drives the growth of aquaculture as a scalable and impactful sector. So let's begin by introducing the gentleman on stage. To my right is Mr. Paulo Enrico Orbe, the farmer and owner of Villa Orbe Farms. Hello, sir. Good afternoon. And sa kaliwa ko naman po is the president of Stangan Ornamental Fish, Mr. Gerald Prodon.
Good afternoon po.
Yes, and the last gentleman is the product manager of Tate Vanamin Feeds, Mr. Ivan Catora.
Hello ma'am, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. So now, let's keep the ball rolling. This question po is for everyone or anybody can answer. Gentlemen, can you give us an overview of the aquaculture industry in the Philippines and the potential business opportunities for new players? Who's going to start, sir? Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon. Congratulations, Sophia and Sir Buddy, for this wonderful event. So now, the question, overview of the aquaculture industry here in the Philippines. Malaki po yung ating potential sa aquaculture industry here in the Philippines. Kasi there's no way but to go up. Kasi nga, yung sa atin dito sa Philippines, total, nasa covered naman tayo ng water areas. So meaning madami tayong ma-harvest. It just so happen lang na we are controlled lang din kasi. And number two, yung ating mga fisher folks, walang pangpuhunan. So that limits them to have their maximum potential.
That's quite interesting, no? You mentioned about the Philippines being surrounded with waters, and that's actually true. But anyway, sir, what's your take on this?
Okay, ang field naman namin sa ornamental fish. Ito yung field ng aquaculture natin na medyo nadi-disregard ng government at hindi natitignan, hindi natututukan. Pero sa totoo lang, multi-billion-dollar industry to, pero hindi natatap yung full potential dito sa Pilipinas. Ang government natin, nakafocus lang sa pagkain. Yung aquaculture natin for food consumption lang mostly. Pero ang hindi natin nakikita na may malaking pera sa ornamental fish industry. And hindi mo kailangan ng malaking kapital para makapasok dito. In fact, yung mga tinutulungan namin mag-export, mga ano yun, mga sa backyard lang nagpapalaki ng isda nila. Pero nailalabas nila yung products nila sa ibang bansa at nabebenta sa magandang prices. So, maraming untapped opportunities. And sana, dumating yung point dito sa atin na makita natin lahat to.
Wow, that's very interesting. So it's a multi-billion peso industry, pero medyo untapped pa or
Maliit ang share ng Pilipinas.
maliit ang share ng Pilipinas.
Naiiwanan tayo ng Thailand, ng Indonesia, at ang malala pa, pati yung Vietnam na nanggaling sa gera, iwan na rin tayo.
Bakit kaya, sir?
Sa government yan eh. And sa tao. And
Okay.
sa tao.
Oh, and I think siguro this is one event also that we try to educate, no, and inform our friends out here that there's really opportunity in ornamental fish farming.
Sobrang laki. Sobrang laki.
Sobrang laki. When you say na maliit na puhunan, gaano kaliit yung puhunan na yan?
Dati dati may piggery ako.
Okay.
Etong ornamental fish na to, libangan ko lang. Bago ako makapagbenta ng isang baboy, magkanong gagastusin ko, gaanong karaming feeds ang i-consume ng baboy para maibenta. Dito sa isda, dito sa ornamental fish, baka hindi ka maka-1 kilo eh. Makakapagbenta ka na. Ganun
Wow.
lang kaliit ang puhunan na kailangan
So,
dito.
ano po to? 5,000? 1,000 pesos?
Less.
Gaano po kaliit yung puhunan na yan?
Minsan nga wala kang puhunan kasi yung kinakain nila makikita mo lang sa gilid-gilid katulad ng mga live foods. Mosquito larva, yung mga ganyan. Kaya kahit sinong tao, kahit ordinaryong tao ka lang, kung talagang hilig mo to, pwede mong pasukin.
So, pwede mong simulan sa bahay or sa backyard mo?
Yes.
Wow. Well, that's really an opportunity we shouldn't miss. So, si Sir Ivan.
With regards dun, ma'am, sa aquaculture industry sa Pilipinas, no? Year by year, ang aquaculture natin is taas talaga ng taas. Pataas ng pataas ang production natin. In fact, kung i-compute natin yung per capita ng consumption ng Pilipinas, sa fish pa lang, nasa around 27 kilos per annum na ang per person na kumakain sa Pilipinas. So ganun ka-dependent ang Pilipino sa fish. More than pa siya sa meat or next lang siya sa rice. So ang nagiging problem kasi sa Pilipinas is yung production natin sa capture fisheries, yun yung mga hinaharvest po natin sa dagat, nakaplato na siya or even pababa pa. So yung kakulangan ng capture fisheries is na-augment ng aquaculture. So kaya ang future ng aquaculture sa Pilipinas in 5 years, 10 years, palaki pa po ng palaki. And ang production natin sa Pilipinas is more on yung common na species lang po, tilapia, bangus. Pero in fact, there are high-valued species na pwede nating mag-venture din na mas malaki po yung profit margin. For example, shrimp, crabs. So yun po yung mga high-valued species na pwede natin i-consider. So yun po yung sa industry natin.
When you say high value, ano po yung niyan, puhunan na kailangan to start a high value aquaculture farming?
Yun po, pag high value is high capital din po usually. Ganun yung usual. Pero ang return po nito when it comes to profit margin, mas malaki po siya compared po dun sa common na kinoculture natin, tilapia, bangus.
So I think this question is may connection, no, dun sa high value farming. Kasi we want to know what are the advantages of RAS or recyclable aquaculture system in crab farming, and how exactly big is this RAS business, and how does it contribute to the value chain in terms of transporting and ensuring the availability of crabs from the farm to consumers? So Sir Paolo,
So,
right?
our RAS is the recirculating aquaculture system. So, we specialize in crab farming or crab fattening here in the Philippines. So, this is an innovative or an advanced technology to raise crabs in a controlled environment. So, here yung yung advantage here is the water reuse. We don't spill or hindi tayo nagtatapon ng water. Next, yung farm level natin, we can supply all year round versus dun sa traditional ponds na they can supply only every 6 months. Kasi nga, they grow them there eh. So, whereas dito naman sa RAS in crab farming, we can predict kung kailan tayo mag-harvest. And the usual harvest here is every 15 days. So, ganun siya kabilis. And of course, yung mga retails natin and the B2B or the businesses, they can also predict when to buy the premium or yung quality crabs na pwede nilang mabili using this system. And also, yung feed intake nila dito hindi naman ganun kalaki. Kasi nga, we only feed them trash fish. Meaning trash fish, hindi siya yung basurang isda. So it means that those are the fishes na yung mga nadurog na yung ulo or medyo lasog na ginagawang patis sa other industries. So yun lang yung pinapakain namin. So ganun lang siya how we control them. And of course, yung water, with the water parameters, we control them kasi. So it's in our fingertips. So daily we test the waters, of course. And lastly naman yung transporting neto, no? When we transport this, RAS is the technology for the transport kasi because of the dissolved oxygen. So they're raised in a high dissolved oxygen. So no stress for them.
Sir, when you say na, kasi you mentioned that wala kayong water waste, right? So it's also sustainable.
Yes, sustainable. Kasi yung water natin from the start, paikot-ikot lang yun eh. So nawawala lang yung water when we acclimate and then due to evaporation. So we only top up. How we control them are in our fingertips. So even though may bagyo, kahit sobrang lakas ng bagyo, nasa loob lang naman sila ng kondo eh.
Yeah.
So they're raised in a condo, though it's 1:1. 1 box, 1 crab.
But will it need a big amount of investment?
Yeah. So investment-wise, medyo malaki lang siya. But tulad ng sinabi ni Sir from Tate, so malaki naman ang yield niya, yung market malaki, tsaka malaki yung profit versus dun sa investment.
Wow, that's interesting. Anyway, for Mr. Gerald, how big is the export market naman po for ornamental fish, and sino yung mga pwedeng maging potential ornamental fish growers?
Actually, pag pinag-usapan natin dito yung laki ng export market, medyo sa una hindi kayo maniniwala. Pero alam nyo ba, merong mga Pilipino na nakakapagbenta ng mga ordinaryong isda rito sa atin ng 1,000 to 5,000 ng isa. Ang pinakamalaki kong nakita is 120,000 for a single fish.
Wow, so ang puhunan po is 1,000 to 5,000.
No.
No.
Ang puhunan,
Is-
baka wala pang 1,000.
Okay.
For the whole 3 months, wala pang 1,000 piso.
And the profit is?
1,000 pesos per fish hanggang 120K. Yun ang pinakamalaking nakita ko.
Wow.
Ilan yung isda nila? Daan-daan yan, libo-libo yan. Yun yung nagawa ng export. Dati kasi, walang export ng ornamental fish. Tayo-tayo lang nagbebentahan. Yung pala ang laki ng market sa labas na willing mag-spend ng napakalaking halaga ng magandang money para lang mabili yung mga isda natin. Iyan yung maraming missed opportunities na hindi na ng mga past generations. Alam nyo ba, etong export ng ornamental fish, ilang beses na nangyari to. Pero every time, palaging failure. Bakit failure? Kasi merong isang kapitalista. Sila yung bibili sa mga magsasaka. Bibili ng mura, sila yung magbebenta. Pero kami ang ginawa namin, hindi ba namin yung sistema? Kasi nakikita ko taon-taon palpak eh. Ang ginawa namin, kami yung naging tulay sa market. Tinutulungan namin silang dumirekta sa seller. Doon nag-ignite yung magic. Doon sila nakapagbenta ng malaki. At nung nakapagbenta sila ng malaki, pinag-igihan nila mabuti yung ginagawa nila. Kaya yung value o yung quality ng ornamental fish dito sa Pilipinas, tumataas na.
So, sir, right now, you're talking about a really big opportunity, no, for ornamental fish. Pero ano po currently yung mga challenges that this sector is facing right now?
Karamihan kaya mahirap mag-export yung documentation. Ito sa amin, ako taga Bulacan. Alam niyo ba kahit kukuha ko ng permit sa Pampanga? Isang permit sa Pampanga, tapos yung isang permit sa Quezon City, tapos yung isang permit sa Pasay. Paano, kung ordinaryong ka lang, paano mo maayos yan? May malaking problema sa sistema na kailangang maayos. Tayo mismo ang naglilimit sa kakayanan natin.
Yeah, I agree. So there should be a one-stop shop for sa inyo po, no, for farmers like you na dapat mas padaliin yung mga proseso on permits and documentation for export.
Katulad ng local transport permit, magbabayad ka ng 20 pesos, pero para makapunta ka sa Pampanga, gagastos ka ng 1,000.
Yeah, that's right.
Di ba? Medyo may problema talaga.
Pero sir, despite of these challenges, how can we circumvent this situation para kumbaga makapag-compete pa din tayo for export?
Tsatsagain talaga natin. Yun na lang. Tsatsagain na lang natin. And mangarap na lang na balang araw, may bagong leadership na magaling na...
Yeah, but it's a good thing that your company is, actively pushing, for our kababayans to go into napaka-noble ng ginagawa ninyo. That you're giving opportunity to small farmers, na magkaroon ng value yung kanilang mga ornamental fish, 'di ba? Na hindi sila maging victim ng mga capitalists.
Segue lang din ako, ma'am. Segue lang ako. Actually, nandito naman si Congressman Vargas eh. So I think he can help the aquaculture here in the Philippines to the best of his ability naman eh. So take ko na yung opportunity na to, boss. Thank you, boss.
Thank you for taking notes, sir. No, tama nga naman. Meron tayong legislator on the House. So, ayan, sir, siguro meron ng ipapasang legislation si Congressman para naman ma-address yung concern ng aquaculture. Anyway, so do we have question from the floor?
Yes, I'm George Salinas. So I'm a farm owner of Nayong Kalikasan, and we had existing aquaponics system. By the way, this is the first aquaponics system featured by Direct Body way back, nung wala pa siyang 1 million followers. Now, my question kasi, right now also, I'm teaching at the College of St. Benilde for the Export Global Business Management students. So my question is, since I have an existing aquaponics system, I want to venture or expand the fish kasi right now it's red tilapia. The question is, how can I start? What's the first step? What are the things that I need to do since I also have the facilities now? I have the aquaponics system. Magpapalit lang ako ng isda or magdadagdag ako ng system ko. Doon sa ornamental fish. Kasi that's a new new expansion, di ba?
Yung aquaponics kasi actually, ginagamit yan ng ibang ornamental fish farm sa ibang bansa para mag-filter ng water nila. Ang masasuggest kong species dyan, yung koi, yung goldfish. Yan usually mga species na nagbe-benefit sa aquaponics system.
But I can also expand, create, pero I'm interested dun sa ornamental fish kasi maganda siya. Kasi right now, the farm, we entertain mga farm tours by the students, mga college students from different universities. So, pag ornamental kasi, mas attractive siya eh. Na-attract na nga sila dun sa red tilapia kasi iba yung kulay, di ba? It's more reddish. So, I want to start, or if it's not another system, pero I'll be using the ornamental fish. Kasi nga, sabi mo nga, magandang magandang export. And we want to go into that. At saka sabi mo, hindi masyadong malaki yung capital that's needed.
Yes. Kailangan mo lang, kailangan nyo lang pag-aralan yung mga kailangan ng balak nyong i-export. Huwag kayo papasok sa mga species na hindi nyo kabisado kasi most likely mamamatay.
Okay, sige, pag-usapan natin outside of the seminar. Kasi mahabang
Mahaba yan.
Thank you.
Ayan, meron ka na, sir, na intay. So, meron ng success rate, right? So, any other questions from the floor? Ayan, by the way, sir, habang naghihintay po tayo ng question, may tanong ako kay Sir Ivan. Sir Ivan, based on our discussion about challenges in this industry, sa inyo po, from your point of view, what are the challenges that you're facing right now?
Actually, sobrang dami, madam. siguro ang i-discuss ko na lang with regards to shrimp farming. So sa shrimp farming kasi, ang number one na challenge namin, unang-una yung sakit sa shrimp farming. So napaka-contagious yung sakit. And pagdating naman sa production cost, mataas talaga po. Feeds ang pinakamalaki, around 50 to 60%. Next doon is yung power cost, yung kuryente. Sobrang taas ng kuryente natin sa Pilipinas. If compare po natin sa ibang bansa. That's why yung production natin with shrimp is mababa pa po siya compared sa ibang bansa. Right now, based dun sa account namin, ang Philippines nakakapag-produce po ng 70,000 metric tons per year. So it's very low pa kung i-compare natin sa ibang bansa. And dun sa 70,000 na yun is 92% is locally consumed. 8% lang po yung napapa-export natin, pinaprocess. So one of the reason is yung market kasi sa ibang bansa with shrimp is mas mababa po yung farm gate price. Sa atin kasi mas mataas ang farm gate price kasi mataas din yung production cost. Kasi ang number one talaga dun is yun sa kuryente. Malaki ang production ng kuryente.
So iba yung business model niya. Iba yung business model ni attorney. Kaya attorney talaga, bibili siya ng reject, then ipa-fatten niya ng tubig, then sa kanya bebenta.
Bioflux system. So yun po yung isang problem. And isa pa po is, sa ibang species
attorney,
naman po,
yung
for example, bangus.
Yung
Sa bangus po natin, more than 60% po na, more than 50%
yung nasa gitna, ornamental fish, yung mga koi, ay mga
molly from Indonesia papunta sa Pilipinas.
Sobrang
Tapos,
ordinary,
ang pinakamalaki
walang market, and all of a sudden, nag-boom sa Thailand.
Fish, aquaculture. So ang laki pa po.
Isang grower niya na backyard, nasa likod bahay, lang kumikita ng $500,000 a month.
Lately lang, first quarter, second quarter ng 2025 po.
Mga molly, yung mga maliliit lang na
fry. That's why, kung mapapansin po natin, yung price natin sa market, matataas. Hindi na tayo makamila ng bangus na 200 pesos pababa. Kasi nga, fry pa lang, nagkaroon tayo ng problem po. Kaya mostly ang sinasuggest ko pag may investor po na gustong mag-venture sa aquaculture, one of the best na species is shrimp. Shrimp po kasi, although hindi yan locally, hindi siya endemic sa Pilipinas, yung Vanamay, so iba po yung sa sugpo. Yung sugpo po kasi, yun yung malalaki na may black na stripe, yun po yung sugpo. Yung Vanamay naman po is, mas maliit siya, pero mas madami ang advantage niya compared po sa sugpo. Sa Vanamay po kasi, mayroon na tayong accredited hatcheries all over the Philippines. Sa Cebu, even dito sa Luzon, meron na po. Pagdating sa technology, available na din po siya. In fact, ngayon, even yung RAS setup, ginagamit din po yun sa Vanamay farming, ang bioflux system. So pagdating po sa magandang species, yung Vanamay po ang, kung titingnan natin sa profitability, ang return ng Vanamay is, for example, ang nagiging production cost mo is around 200 pesos per kilo. You are selling Vanamay. As of the moment, ang farm gate price ng Vanamay po is nasa 250 base 10 grams base 10. So kung halimbawa 20 grams po yung Vanamay mo, it's around 300 pesos. So meron ka ng 100 pesos na profit margin po dun sa Vanamay farming. And hindi mo din kailangan po na sobrang laking capital. Kasi even the Philippines, gumagamit pa po ng mga semi-intensive setup na profitable din po.
Sir, you're saying na parang yung shrimp is a good venture, no? Pero given the challenges, encouraging pa ba for yung mga nasa audience natin na nagbabalak at gusto nila na pasukin itong shrimp farming?
Yes, maganda pa rin po siya. Kahit meron tayong challenge sa sakit, sa panahon, Pilipinas laging binabagyo. May mga setup naman po na parang typhoon-proof na tinatawag natin na very resilient sa mga ganun pong challenges.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a question from the floor?
Hello po, good afternoon. Ako nga po pala si Doms Nailisan. Wala pa akong aquaculture pero interested ako to venture there. Kasi ngayon nasa lettuce, small backyard lettuce ako. So nasa urban ako, so urban farming yung setup. So isa sa kasi sa mga nakaka-intimidate in terms of aquaculture since more on technology kasi yan eh. So, what is the parang minimum investment na kailangan ko to break even? Bakit break even? Because I want to learn first before expansion. So, in terms of equipment, in terms of area size, how much do I need to invest?
So, sir, before they answer, are you interested in shrimp, crab, or ornamental?
To be honest, fish. More on, kasi yung lettuce ko is minamarket ko sa local market lang din. So gusto ko sana is food lang din. Or ornamental.
Ornamental.
Medyo high-end din kasi yung crab eh. Pero maganda rin yun.
So, Sir Gerald?
Sa ornamental, hindi mo kailangan ng malaking puhunan. Pwede kang magsimula for as low as 1,000, 1,500 pesos. Kompletong setup na yan. Or kung ayaw mo pang, kung gusto mo pa lalo magtipid, yung iba ginagamit nga yung trapan, o yung lumang ref, yung basyo ng ref. Depende sa'yo yan. Pero ang importante dito, bago ka maglabas ng malaking pera dito, pag-aralan mo muna. Magsimula ka muna sa maliit. Kasi marami rin siyang problema eh. So, ang isda nagkakasakit, may buhay yan. Pag-aralan mo kung ano yung mga kailangan nila, anong mga gamot, bago ka bumili ng marami. Pag natuto ka na, unti-unti mo nang palakihin. So,
okay, I just want to ask, kasi dun yung, since nasa urban area ako, ang setup talaga ng lettuce farm ko is nasa rooftop. So, in terms of temperature, medyo mahirap siya, parang 30 plus. So, yung ornamental ba okay lang din indoor?
depende sa species. Meron mga isda na pwede indoor, meron kailangan talaga ng sunlight. So, kung gusto mo ng indoor, doon ka sa mga indoor species katulad ng betta, yung maliliit, mga microfish, doon ka pumasok kung gusto mo, kung maliit lang yung space mo.
Okay, may follow-up lang din. Kasi since, sorry pa, in terms of food production naman, mga fish for foods, ang nagiging problem ko kasi dyan, since small area nga siya, paano ko kukuha ng fingerlings? Usually yung mga production nun is maramihan yung requirements.
From saang area ka, sir?
Caloocan.
Bali, kung into food production ka po, ang pinakamalapit siguro sa Caloocan is Perim Pampanga or Bulacan or pwedeng sa Laguna, kumuha po. Doon yung mga supplier po ng tilapia, even red tilapia, hito, yun po yung pwedeng...
Ay, yun po. Since nabanggit niya rin yung sa ornamental is less than 1,000, magkano po ang kakailangan ng Coco if dyan sa mga ganyang venture?
Usually, ang ginagawa namin computation po is based na doon po dun sa production cost. Pag tilapia po kasi, nagiging production cost per kilo is around 90 pesos per kilo. So, pero kung ang setup nyo po, sir, is gumagamit kayo ng kuryente, kasi nga yung sa lettuce farming, I think little higher pa po dun ang magiging production cost nyo po na pwedeng... depende na din sa size po ng gagamitin nyo pong setup nyo po.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you have additional questions po, you can ask our panelists dun po sa booth nila later on. But I'd like to give, the microphone to... Yes, sir.
Ako po si Pabs Villegas, isa pong magsasaka sa Malvar, Batangas. Interesado po ko sa precision, agriculture at saka aquaculture. The problem in Malvar, it has already been urbanized. So yung pong aking organic, yung aking coconut, nasira ng cocolisap, then organic farming naman na mga ng area. So the price of land is getting very, very high. So I'm now shifting to socialized housing. But the challenge in socialized housing, which involves mga low-income employees, they have to have at least 30,000 pesos per month income in order to qualify those DSUD model ngayon where they can amortize 7,500 to 8,000 pesos per month. So, here comes the challenge. I am now introducing a concept of socialized farming with vertical agriculture and vertical aquaculture. So, ito po yung opportunity so that itong mga beneficiary ng socialized, and the target here is by the Marcos administration, 6 million houses, new houses in urban and peri-urban areas. So, ano po yung magaging, well, I like to ask the guy doing the aquaculture. Yung pwede natin integrate yan sa mga condominium because these are condominium units of up to 5 floors, no? Pero in a 1.2 hectare, we will have about 8 buildings. So I can have aquaculture.
After
No. Agriculture on the top house, and I can have aquaculture and agriculture also in the houses. So that this will serve as a source of livelihood income so these beneficiaries can be self-reliant in food, safe and nutritious food. At the same time, they can sell and help them amortize the housing. So I think this is a good opportunity that I met you. So we can invite you to be in Malvar, Batangas, and we will do business there. Thank you.
Wow, that's great. So, Sir Paulo?
Sir, you're speaking of what specific dun sa aquaculture po natin. Are you speaking of
I think anything that can be integrated with the housing project.
The issue there is cost and return.
Okay. Sir,
so I'm an economist.
Yeah. Sir, number one, kung yung RAS using the crab farming ang gagamitin natin, actually, sir, the requirement only is at least 15 square meters. Eh.
I can have 5 by 5, but then you can have vertical, 25. We can have up to 1,000, well, for vertical farming, but siguro for aquaculture, the same. Kasi kung meron ka ng mga 5 by 5 square meter lang, no? 25 times 4, that's 100 square meter. So that's more or less the model we're talking here. So, but it can be smaller inside the specific house. There's sa kanilang veranda, sa kanilang something like that, or inside the house. So, pero we can develop the model that will suit the environment. Yan ang importante. Thank you.
Sige po, thank you.
Wow, that's quite interesting. Parang it's a sustainable community. Di ba, sir? Wow, that's laudable. Anyway, meron po kayong gustong idagdag?
Doon kay sir.
Yes.
Regarding doon kay sir, usually kapag mga urban farming po kasi, ang very ideal to culture is high value. Pag ang target mo is business. Kasi for example, nasa urban ka, nag-alaga ka ng tilapia, alam naman natin mura ang tilapia. And Malbar pa siya. Ang Malbar kasi is part ng sa may Taal Lake. Alam naman natin, ang Taal Lake, production po yun ng tilapia. So laging kalaban niya sa market po yung yan. Kaya very suitable para dun sa area is yung mga high value. For example, pwede nga yung kagaya kay sa ornamental fish kasi we consider high value yung ornamental fish. Kasi ang pricing niya based on per piece. Pwede ang crab, pwede yung mga ulang, yung mga crayfish, yun po yung pwede. If target po is business na food production po.
Before we get the question from the floor, gusto kong paanong i-integrate ang ornamental fish dun sa concept ng community, residential community ni sir.
Actually, yung ornamental fish, perfect dun sa setup ni sir. Tapos, ang kinaganda pa niyan, ang market nung breeder ng ornamental fish, yung social media na, kahit saan sa Pilipinas, makakapagbenta sila.
Correct.
Gamit yung maliit na space nila.
Yes. And I think that will be the first in the Philippines, right? And it's a very good model for developers eventually, no, na pwede palang magkaroon ng business integration and supporting aquaculture and agriculture dun sa community that they are developing. It's a very great idea. So, sir, do you have a question?
Ronald Eugenio po, from Sual, Pangasinan. Bangus grower and Malagwa grower po. Actually, pumabawi lang po ako kay Sir Buddy. Mag-share lang po ka ng konti. If there's one industry na pwedeng bumuhat sa economy natin, sa economy ng Pilipinas, aquaculture po yon.
Yes.
Bakit? Di ba? Unang-una po, archipelagic po tayo. Pulo-pulo po tayo. Lahat po ng lugar, alam po to ni Sir Tate, Lahat po ng lugar, lahat ng isla, pwede po nating alagaan ng isda. Pwede po tayong mag-alaga, pwede po tayong mag-produce. Yun po yung industry na pwede nating panghawakan. Pangalawa po, doon sa sabi po ni Sir, pagdating po sa ornamental, tamang-tama po yun. Kasi since the start, 20, 30 years, lahat po tayo ornamental na. Sabi nga po natin, goldfish lang. Ibenta po natin sa China, billion na po kaagad na piraso yon, di ba? Yung goldfish pa lang po, paano pa po yung iba? Tapos isa pa po, yung red tilapia. Yung red tilapia po is kapatid po ng normal na tilapia po natin. Ang production cost po nun halos pareho. Pero pagdating po sa merkado, mas mahal po ang red tilapia. Kaya pabor na pabor po sa atin na alagaan din po yon. Pero kagaya po ng nangyari sa industry, sa bangus industry last year, dapat po may market muna tayo. Unahin po natin ang market bago po ang production. Kasi para sa akin po, madali ang production. Ang mahirap po yung market. Para lahat po tayo mabuhay. Hindi po pwede na produce tayo ng produce. Pagdating po sa dulo, hindi natin alam kung saan dadalhin. Para sa lahat po to ng interesado na pagdating po sa pag-aalaga ng isda. Yun lang po at thank you po.
Nako, maraming salamat for that insightful message ni Sir. Anyway, we'd like to thank our panels, Sir Paulo, Sir Gerald, and Sir Ivan. So we wrap up the second panel of discussion for this afternoon's agribusiness. Thank you very much.
We now call on the panelists from the aquaculture session for the awarding of their plaques of appreciation. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you very much to our panelists. We appreciate your contribution.
Hello, everyone. We are now back on the ground with Elinea and Alex. So I sure hope that our guests are gaining a lot of insights in our panel discussion. And of course, I bet you guys are waiting for the live feed and more of our booth hopping. So I won't let you guys wait anymore. And let's now hop on to Tate. So who I have here is Miss Mary Joy Enriquez. Hello, Miss Mary Joy. Say hi. Ayan. So kanina I was actually conversing with Miss Mary Joy. So if you guys heard the last panel discussion, Sir Ivan was there, right? Discussing Vanamin. So Miss Mary, I wanted to ask you, what are you showcasing here in your booth today? And ano po yung bago? Maybe we can also show this to them, yeah?
So, Tate Aqua Feeds is a feed manufacturing company that has been in the industry for 35 years. So today we are showcasing our improved Vanamin Vaname feeds. So we are using advanced multi-nutrition formula. For shrimp po ito, so mas marami na rin yung size variation for all of sizes ng alaga nating hipon. So, improved formula for bigger shrimp, better growth, and lower feed conversion ratio.
Thank you, Miss Mary. And also kanina you were telling me, kapag ka bumisita sila sa booth nyo, especially our farmers, ano po yung ino-offer nyo na technical support, advice? So ano po yung pwede nilang mga itanong sa iyo dito sa feed?
So, we also offer free consultation for all aquaculture species, may it be bangus, tilapia, hito, or any of your concerns, may fish pond, fish cage, pwede po kayong mag-visit sa booth namin and give your questions. Pwede po namin kayong sagutin.
Alright, so thank you, Miss Mary. And to our guests, please always remember to take your time in visiting our booths and connect with them. Napakasarap po magkaroon ng conversation with our exhibitors. And of course, madami rin po tayong matututunan. Libreng-libre lang po ang magtanong. And now, I'm going to look for my partner, Alex. Alex, nasan ka nag-booth up? Ayun, she's near. Hello, Alex. What's going on there?
We're just next to Tate booth. We have Tuburan Coffee. So, sa mga nandito, last year, sa event natin, Meet and Greet, actually, Tuburan Coffee is one of the guest favorites. No? So, we are very happy to have you back, Miss Fatty. Yeah, please tell us what we can look forward to when we go to your booth.
Thank you, Miss. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuburan Coffee booth. We are very proud to showcase our locally grown Tuburan coffee, as known as the coffee capital of the province of Cebu. Among our products here are, we have drip coffee, we also have roasted coffee, and also roasted coffee beans. And not that, we also have free taste brewed coffee. We are encourage you all to visit our booth today. So that's all.
Thank you so much, Miss Fatty. Again, meron tayong free coffee dito sa Tuburan booth. Okay? Okay, I think we are ready for our next panel discussion. But before that, I really want to encourage everyone, especially everyone who's here at the back, no? I really encourage you guys to lean in because we are here at the event and it's not every day that we get to meet these people. So I really encourage you guys, if you gotta go to the front to understand more, to be able to ask more questions. Because, again pala guys, dito sa event, pwede kayo mag-write down ng questions, no? Especially itong topic na to is one of the most mga gustong topics sa agribusiness. And don't forget to write down your questions. And pwede nyo silang dalhin dito sa registration booth para ma-discuss natin sila sa harap. Is that great? Awesome. Okay, we are really ready. We are now ready for our next panel discussion about livestock and poultry. Back to the stage, guys.
Up next is panel discussion 3 on livestock and poultry.
Agribusiness merch is now available on Shopee and Lazada. Agribusiness, how it works. Instruct, inspire, succeed.